Hey besties, welcome back to andthatstea. I'm Rach, and today's topic is three-way friendships. Now, three is a crowd, right? Three is an odd number. And with friendships, I feel like for me, I'm very unlucky when there's a three-way friendship where we're all on the same level, right? No, it's never equal, Like someone is always the odd one out. I don't care what anyone says. Yes, maybe the rare occasion there are people who like it just works for y'all group. So for those who have a three-way friendship and you feel like it's 100% equal, like not one of you sides more with the other, no one ever feels left out. It's so like it works, then good for you because that's rare. So definitely hold on to those connections because this is very rare, especially in my opinion. So for me, I feel like growing up, I've always been somehow caught in a three-way friendship, right? Elementary school, middle school, high school. I don't know. I feel like college is when things really started opening up for me. But elementary school and middle school, especially, it was always me and two other girls, right? And I was always the odd one out. I was always the one that heard the last one to hear about plans, maybe not even be invited. Or sometimes I would initiate and be like, hey, is it okay if I come too? Like, that's the worst feeling is feeling like you have to even say anything. And now that I'm in my like grown age, I'm like, I would have just been like bounced by. And I did do that when I was younger. Don't get me wrong. Like, I was at first very like forgiving, I guess you could say, or I didn't bounce right away. But then as I got into middle school and into high school, I was like, yeah, no, this is not going to work for me. Bye. And what I would do is an Irish goodbye. I guess you could say it's like an Irish goodbye. If I had a issue with this person, sometimes I didn't even have a conversation with them, right? I would literally just block them. Like I would literally block them and just be done. No context sometimes, nothing. And that's a Scorpio of me, I'm sorry. Because I have been collecting my details the whole time of your behavior or things you've done. And as for me, I'm a very, very loyal friend, right? And I show up for people like as much as I can. And sometimes I would do too much for people that weren't giving it back the same amount of energy and friendship. So for me, if you betray my trust or you did something where I felt like, oh, okay, you did something now that I would never do to you and I can't ever trust you again. You're done. You're blocked. I'm never talking to you again. And then the next day in school, if I blocked you, I would act like I never like knew you in the first place. I could walk right past you, not even look at you and be like, who is this person? You know what I mean? If you did me that dirty, I am so done with you, like emotionally. And that's how I am with men too. It's like the minute I'm like, okay, like I can't trust you and you just did me so dirty, there's no going back for me. There's no second chances for me. So if you see me, you know me, right? If you're in my circle and you see me still talking to that person, that means they haven't hit that mark yet. So just let it play out. I mean, you know me, I have my head on straight. I'm doing my work, doing my jobs, getting my money, doing my life. Um, but yeah, just know if I'm still there, that means that man hasn't hit that mark yet. But I feel like growing up, my friendships have changed, or the way I see friendships have changed, right? But I don't want to jump too far ahead into that yet. Let's circle back to when I was younger, right? Things that I feel like your younger self wanted the most is feeling like validated in friendships, cherished on the same level as everyone else, being included, being seen, right? For who you are, not having to be someone you're not. And it's so easy when you're in middle school, especially, and everyone is like trying to be somebody, or there's the cool kids, and then there's like the sporty kids, and it's like all these groups. For me, growing up, I wasn't nerdy. I wouldn't say that because I definitely was not nerdy, but I also wasn't popular. Yet I would have friends sometimes who were considered popular, right? Or I'd have friends that were athletes, or I was a floater, I guess you could say, right? It's like I had friends in different groups. I sometimes would especially in high school, I would sit, with different groups during lunch. It just depended. Because for me, I get along with everybody for the most part, right? And so I never felt like I was a part of just one group. And when I had my three-way friendships, one, it's weird when, like, for me growing up, a lot of my friends were white. Because for y'all that don't know, I originally was adopted, right? So my mother is white, and she just adopted me and my sister, who's also adopted. But we are not blood related. So we are adopted at different points. I'm older by 3 years. Yeah, yeah. Basically, though, when you're growing up with a white mother, right? And I wouldn't say she's the normal white mother. She's definitely a little seasoned. Um, but not in like a black scent, like I'm trying to be black kind of way. She like grew up around a lot of people of color from different cultures. So she was never weird, if you know what I'm saying. But let's get back on track. I just, because I had a white mom growing up, at least where I grew up, I had a lot of white friends because they in some weird way didn't judge me in the sense of like they would just be friends with me, you know? And then the black kids, well, it wasn't even all black kids. It was just a few black girls who didn't like me, right? For no reason. And I now, obviously, when I'm older, like, no, okay, they have their own issues going on, you know? But, so yeah, I gravitated towards white people. And so it was always weird. My friendships, I was the black girl, right? And there were times where I had a friend who I'm not friends with anymore since high school. She would say things like, Rachel, that's not a black name. Or other horrible, like weird white people type things. And let me tell you, I do love white people. Okay. So don't think that I'm like anti-white people. I'm not. This is just at the time, like sometimes when you grow up as a person of color, you experience these weird things with white people. And that's just a fact. But anyway, so I'm already on the outside. If I have two white friends and I'm the black girl, right? That already puts me on the outside in a weird way. And so the friendships would be unbalanced. And I felt like I had to prove myself in a weird way of showing like I'm normal. You know, I'm just another girl. Like, even if I'm black, even if I don't have a dad, like, I'm just another girl. So it's just so annoying, like, being the one on the outside, right? Looking in and just wanting to be seen and equal and maybe ask first for plans. Like, hey, let's do this. Why don't we ask this person rather than you being the last person asked, you know? So when it came to like my teenage years, that's when I hated school. The bullying from middle school from like those few girls had gotten bad, right? And then high school came. And in some ways, like freshman year is still a little bit there. And it was only this one particular girl. But then it kind of went away. And I just was way more of a floater then too. And I kind of was more quiet and I lost me. And I feel like also when you're trying to be seen and be in a group, even if it's two other girls, you know, you lose who you are naturally because you're adjusting yourself constantly to fit into the narrative of that friend group or that, you know, that whole three-way friend group. So by high school, I felt like I was so much more quiet, way more anxious, way more socially anxious, you know, didn't like, I never really hung out with people after school. I didn't start feeling happier again till I started dancing again and would join a dance team. And then the dance team was outside of school. It wasn't part of school. So I was able to make new friends, which was great. And I feel like it wasn't until college where it gave me the opportunity to reinvent myself and be like, this is who I really am. This is how I show up. And I no longer am going to put myself in situations where I will be the excluded one. You know what I mean? Or if that even starts to happen, I remove myself and go. So college, though, was a breath of fresh air because no one really knew me, right? And so when if you're in elementary school, middle school, high school, usually this is the same people growing up with you, right? So you don't have the time or the opportunity to really reinvent yourself when you've known these people going throughout school. So college for me, I went to college early. I went to college in my senior year because there was a program where I live where for those who wanted to finish their senior year but then do their first year of college, they could go to the community college in the county and enroll. So I was done with high school in junior year, technically. I never went back to that place ever because all my classes were at the college. So that's why I started college early and I made new friends and I was able to reinvent myself. And that really, really helped. Yeah, it took a lot of unlearning and like trauma healing and things like this to get back to how I am today now. And it's funny because even my mom will say like, "Oh, Rachel, you're back to who you used to be." You know, like who as a kid, the fun-loving kid who loved talking to people, who did wasn't scared to be who she is, right? And that took a while. I'm 24 now. I would say that didn't really kick in till I was like 19, maybe 20. And then there was COVID, and we all know how that went, trying to make friends during COVID or do things during COVID, especially when you're in college. And like, luckily, my experience was saved by the first year or two of COVID was bad, but then it got saved, and then I was able to kind of get back to being social and making friends and doing this and that. And then I had a bigger friend group in college, which was great. Like, it was mostly girls, and then we had one gay bestie. You know who you are. And that was great. We had Thursday night hangouts, and I felt like that was so balanced because it wasn't three people. It wasn't me and two other people. Like, it was balanced, and that is just so refreshing. And then as you get older, you realize, like, I think part of, I guess if there's people, or if you're one of those people that have two other friends and you're in a three-way friendship, it really depends on the dynamics, obviously, of the group, you as a person yourself, and what works for you and what doesn't. For me, that doesn't work. But other people might have the right personality and way of going about things that it does work for them, right? To be in that situation, and it's not a problem. But I realize now that I'm older, it's like I have to put friends in different categories based on, like different things, right? There's someone I can talk to at work, right? Like we can always chat here and there, about whatever, about life. Usually they're my age or close to my age, but at work. Then there's the people that I could always go out with here and there, right? Like every once in a while, oh, let's go get coffee, let's catch up. But maybe they're not available all the time or whatever. So there's a category for those people. Then there's the people that are like to go out all the time, right? And like to go to the parties, the clubs, this and that. I love going out on the weekends. And those are the type of people I want to hang out with on weekends, right? Because that's what their purpose is in some ways in my life. Then there's the people that I can have a closer connection with and can stay in, and we can just sit there and chill. So you really don't, I feel like 23 is when it really kicked in of like, okay, you got to start categorizing your friendships. Not everyone can be everything. And then you also have to accept that when you make a friend, not to have expectations, like dating, like not to have expectations for this person to be everything, right? And when you start getting revealed to you the things that how they are, that helps you put them in a category, and doesn't mean you need to end the friendship. I've learned to give people more second chances and to actually vocalize like why I'm upset with them, or why, talk about what happened, right? And kind of come up with a solution rather than just cut them off. But I feel like you're kind of like, adulthood forces you to do that, to categorize people, right? Which is very uncomfortable, especially when you're used to having a friend that does everything with you and that is everything to you, or friends or whoever. So that's why for me, I'm like a very social person, it's good for me to have these categories of people. I love being social, but I feel like I get disappointed very easily when I thought somebody was going to be able to be all these things for me that I am to them, and they aren't. They show me that they aren't. And then I get disappointed and I'm upset. And then my old self is like, oh my God, what does this mean? Do I at the end of friendship? Am I done with this person? And then I had to re-regulate myself and be like, no, that doesn't mean you're done, but that means they're not that person to you for these certain types of things, for these deep things, for the emotional, like, to confide in them emotionally is maybe not what the dynamic is of your friendship. And that's okay. Then find that other person, And I think also part of categorizing friendships, or just friendships in general, is knowing how much energy to put into each friendship. Do not overgive. Don't be overly loyal, this and that, if these people aren't doing it back to you. So if you're my party friend, great. Let's have a good time. Let's party. And then that's it. And then if you're my friend that I confide in and you confide in me, great. It has to be equal. Sometimes it's like that person might need more healing, especially as a Scorpio. Scorpios attract people that maybe are unhealed, need guidance, and we reflect what they need to heal, right? So, in some ways, I feel like Scorpios are put in a position where they're doing more of the work or giving more into friendships and relationships because sometimes they're more healed and they're helping this person on their journey, right? To being to their purpose or to becoming the person they are growing into, right? So, I don't know. It's very like complicated, especially friendships, but my advice to y'all is have those categories, but also don't be quick to jump ship right away. Give yourself time to validate your feelings, but then like evaluate the friendship in general and maybe like see, is this salvageable? If not, then yeah, I guess end the friendship. It also depends what they did, or how, if you're feeling like you're not getting anything out of this friendship and it's actually eating away at you, then yeah, end the friendship, right? But this is just a thing for me. Is like three-way friendships do not work because someone's always on the outside. Someone is always maybe not on the same level as the other two. And it's just the way it is, you know? So protect your energy. Find those friends that support you in the ways that you need to be supported, and put yourself out there and don't feel like you're doomed, right? Also, do want to mention really quick that for me, I also noticed that since I like cars, right? I like cars, sometimes I like video games, things like that. I like having guy friends, and you can have guy friends if it's obviously respectful and it's just friends. And there are those guys that do that. But just allow yourself to, find your people, find your soul tribe, be yourself, and protect your energy. That's the biggest thing I can say to you guys. But thank you for tuning into this episode of And That's Tea. I'm Rach again, and get ready for next week's episode. If you have any thoughts, comments, regarding this topic, put it in the chat. Please subscribe. This is supposed to be an open communication, like open community for everybody to like contribute to. So definitely like, share, comment. And if you have any topics you want me to cover, story times, whatever it is, comment that below too. So, bye guys.